All right, welcome back. So happy new year first off and foremost. Hope you guys had a great weekend, got to enjoy your time with family, friends, hanging out. Hope you got some new resolutions this year. If anything, mine's just to keep going hard, man, keep staying consistent. Like I said, I'm having a daughter this year before, so I'm very excited for that and to go through that first time experience. But yeah, otherwise just doing as best I can with all the stuff that I'm already doing. And then we'll probably lower the amount of videos we're able to put out, at least as of now, just because of the kiddo coming around. But we're basically going to still pump out as much quality content as we can as we're going through everything. So for this one, we're basically going to get back into finishing up this. I dropped off my radiator as an update for everything. That has dropped off. We're basically, like I said before, this is the way it used to line up. We're going to cut off the top of that and then have it angled this way so it's close to this, and then we'll just have it go straight back. So may have to cut this, may not, we'll see when we get there. But otherwise we're going to go ahead and take this off, replace this with our this is the old one. Let me find a new one. Okay, cool. So this is the old size as an example, and then this is the new size that will easily fit within it with no issues. So but this is the new one, Miata piece that we have here. So this is going from a 3-inch down to a 2.5, which is the standard size of all the aluminum fittings aluminum, intercooler piping pieces that I have right now. So we'll take this off, put this on, should be set for that piece. And then we're gonna go back to our catch can fittings. So we have this. We're basically going to redo this line itself because right now it's going from here at the top all the way over and then to the back here of the engine itself. So we're going to block that part off. Kicking all kinds of stuff. We're going to block that part off on the back. We're basically going to rerun that all the way back and around, and then maybe not around. Maybe, I guess I got to figure out the best way to route this, but it's going to come from over there and it's going to go to the top of the top inlet of the turbo. There's going to be a 3-inch pipe here, which I have sitting up there at the moment, but that will sit there. This will kind of come out a little bit further, not a whole lot, just enough. But yeah, that way we can basically try and avoid having the leak that we have back there now, because there's a dash 10 and fitting that was originally coming up here. So I've changed the catch can setup a billion different times at this point, but we're gonna basically get that, replace that, make a new AM9, have it come up here, and then we should be set. So let's get into it, shall we? And if any of you guys have been here since last year, I appreciate you for coming back. Thank you. We'll continue on. Like I said, this is still build thread focused, so we're just gonna keep hitting it hard. So of course we need some 3-inch T-clamps. So we'll put that on there, tighten it down, should be set. And please note, this is a 3-inch. This is like 2 3/4 inch, so it's ever so slightly smaller. This fits phenomenally. This is a little loose, so we'll see if it works out well with the clamp. If it doesn't, we'll just get a different one, but if not, we'll keep it 3. So the 3-inch, even though this is clamped all the way down, it is still a little looser than I want it to be, because I could probably yank it off all the way, given air is going to be going this way, not this way, but still just one of those things. So may get a smaller one, keep it pushing. 2 3/4 would be the perfect size for this. So just in case anybody else runs into the same issue, it's not 3-inch, 2 7/4. But aside from that, should be good from this standpoint. So we'll move on to the next thing of doing the AN lines and rerouting those. Okay, so this was our old contraption. This basically went to the catch can itself, behind the head. This was connected up to the front, so that way it was all kind of in line with one section. And then this was to the back of the head itself. Just so, like I said, everything, the front and back, everything's vented to the one catch can. Oh, nice. Actually got some oil in there. To the vented one catch can, and then, yeah, away from there. So it's good to know that there's actually oil in there to a degree, because I'm pretty sure this has been loose somewhat. which has been causing us a little bit of a leak behind the head, but otherwise nothing major. So yeah, let's take a look and see if anything's actually in there. My guess is that there's nothing overall, because this is probably just residual coming from the back of the head going in. So that's what I'm expecting to see, but that'll get blocked off. So we shouldn't have that anymore. If anything's coming out, it's coming out the side of the head and then going from there. But yeah. Cool. So now we have the back part, like I said, blocked off. So that way that's out of the way. Now we can get our new lines, take this cover off again, extend it. We're gonna have a little bit of issue with fitment just because we won't have the radiator in yet, but we'll adjust that as we need to when we get there. But everything else over there is set. Let's get to it. Okay, so I've completely changed the way I want to route this altogether. Instead of coming from the front, which is perfectly fine, can go underneath, go all the way back, nice and clean. You can also do it here over the top. So I'm going to go here, which I didn't have this room before, right here. So I'm going to tuck it underneath and then cut it, make it work, and fit right to the catch can. So now that we have that, yeah, I love how we can just rearrange things and change things as you go. So it'll give us a lot more room over here, less things to be in the way of this line. But yeah, we'll see what we get to. So as you can see, you got a bunch of A lines, a bunch of 90s, things like that. So some are abused, some are not, some are a little better than others. So I'm basically going to take some of this stuff apart, rearrange, and kind of figure out which works best with what, and then play around with it a little bit for the setup over here as well. But yeah, man, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be 90 to 90, and then another 90 up to maybe a 45 as it comes over and across. Just trying to figure out the backwards routing. I'm thinking the backwards routing is going to come back here, come up, and then go over, but we shall see, we shall see. All right, sweet. I have our dash 1090 to dash 1090. Oh, I guess I need to finish this side, and then we'll throw that on real quick. Okay, so I'm not gonna put it all the way on because I want to take the catch can off and just make sure it's empty. But as of now, it goes all the way around, comes back up and sits in there. It looks good. It looks good. So now we're gonna get the other one so we can do it across and then test that out. So pretty much going to have our 90 here. It's gonna go behind everything, so it's not up front, but we have our 90 here. It's gonna stick out just as far as the other one does. So let's put that back on. So I just briefly took it off. Knock these out, and then if you're gonna go as far as the other one, 90 wise. Cool. So we have our long boy made as well. That's pretty much going to be a 45 going to a straight 90. So 90 on this side to the catch can, 40 to the turbo inlet. And now we just need to take this filter off, put the 3-inch metal here, measure out everything, and then make sure that it works out. So like I said, be here, go from the back, gonna go behind and underneath everything. Pop up, probably pull it a little bit so it's visible, but I really want it to just ride on these primarily, so that way come over here, pull itself right on maybe one, and then plug directly in right here. So the hardest part and concern I have is right here, so we might get some coverage that I had just like we had before for some of this stuff, just to kind of protect the heat. It's going to be sitting right next to the exhaust manifold, but otherwise, pretty much be about it. So we have our filter now hooked up to our 3-inch with an inlet, which this is a dash 10 down to an MPT. I think it's like 1/8. So I'm not trying to have a whole, if there happens to be a lot of oil that gets full, I don't want it to pull everything and just suck it all through. So it should limit it at least a little bit, but yeah. So we'll slip this on. Oh, Yeah, we'll slip this on because this honestly doesn't need anything to clamp that part down. And then we'll run this. And then we'll put this right here. So this is what I'm envisioning right here. That way it still goes back, it goes underneath and covers. I just have a little piece here, and I might have something I can use for that now. But yeah, this way, the thought process is, if anything's, this will grab up anything that's coming out of here. That way it doesn't go back into the system. It goes into the catch can. This is on the bottom part of the catch can, and then the top part of the catch can runs up, down, kind of has a little bit of resistance, so there shouldn't be any oil flow unless there's a lot of pressure, which would be a whole separate issue. But that way this comes back up here, sucks it, keeps vacuum going. So that's the thought process. We'll see if it works as we're hoping. But last time I set it up similar to this, I didn't have any issues, especially when I was flooring it. When I was doing donuts and everything, there was a lot of smoke coming out of that. So I'm assuming it's decently full, or might have some blow by going to it, based off how it was set up before. But that was just strictly going to the top, and that was it. There was nothing else pulling it back in. So we'll see if this works. And then now let me get this catch can off and then see if that's full real quick. All right, current situation. We have the front top part on. We put the old one back on because the new one's too big. So all that's back to the way it was. And then only other problem I'm noticing is that this is way too low to the ground, like way too low to the ground. So I'm gonna chop off a couple, maybe like an inch or two off of this existing line to bring it up a little bit. We still have a lot to work with, and then that should bring this up more. Because right now, I'm sure if I hit any bump, this is gonna hit the sway bar and just, it's gonna be annoying. So I don't wanna deal with that. I'm sure nobody wants to deal with that, so I'm gonna fix that. So as you can see, this is the old one, this is the new one, or not the new one, but the one I've been using temporarily. The bends are in the same spot, and then wherever this ends, that's where that extends drastically. So I'm gonna chop this up good ways just to get it probably right around here, right where it's sitting right now, and then that way we can make it work. So marked off our line. Go ahead and use our bandsaw, cut it up, and then we'll go from there. Cool, so I cut this to be a little bit shorter on this side of it, so that way we'll put it back on, try it out. I cleaned out the inside so there's less, if none, of the debris from when I was shaving it. But yeah, we should be set to throw this in, tighten everything up, and then we should be good. All right, and our final product up top, connection to connection to connection to connection. One day this will all be aluminum, but for now this will do. And then we have a little more clearance off the ground as we did before. So cool, got that. We can put our little filter right here back on, and then yeah, that should be it. So last time I took this out, it didn't have anything in it. Let's see if it does now. I would assume I have something in it. Feels like there's a little bit of weight, but who knows, to be honest with you. Can at least see in this side that it is wet. So let's see what we find. I think most of the blow by is basically just coming through this bottom port, because it's not really, it's wet, but it's not, I feel like it's not really sealing. And up there it's wet. You can't see it. Up there it's also wet underneath, so I'm gonna clean that off again. I'm gonna probably replace the bottom of this with something better that's actually stopping it, and then go from there. All right, so well, I didn't get like a whole flow in there, which is good. I did get some small, like little deposits that are actually sitting on top of this with a super warped O-ring, but yeah. I'm sure a lot of this other stuff was blown by as well, because there's a little bit of crud in there. I don't know if you're able to even see any of that. Yeah, you can see a little bit. But there's some crud in there too, so it makes me feel confident that at least the way I had it set up was at least working to some degree. Not having a whole lot in here is also great, just because that means I'm not getting a whole lot of blow by. But yeah, let's get something different than this. Just so it fully seals it, and then we're really set. And I also found my block off. I forgot I put it in my other intercooler when I temporarily put that in. So I'm gonna put that on the back of the motor itself. I'm gonna take the one that's on the back of the motor and put it maybe on the bottom of this. So assuming I didn't mess up the threads on this already previously, the reason I want to use this is just because it makes the back of the motor flat itself instead of sticking kind of far out. Just cleaner overall. But yeah, now that we got this out, before we go forward, let's just make sure that this fits. Sit you down. So this is what was on the back, the other block off I had on the back of the head. And then this is the catch can. Sweet. So we fit here, which is fantastic. Probably put some thread sealer on there just to make sure we're good. And then we have an and fitting on the end of this to strain it. So dashed in and for everything, just makes it easier. So sweet. So now we have it. Oh, you can't see a thing. Okay. Well, now there's a block off right there. Cool. So now we have our reassembled catch can, which now definitely shouldn't leak. And then we can see if we actually catch anything in it this time around. If hopefully not, but just more of a precaution because it's definitely been wet down there for a long period of time. So clean that up real quick and then we can slap this back on. All right, with the AN fitting, it would not work, unfortunately. It's too long, it sticks out too far. And then this is already at the top of the shelf itself. So I can't have anything, and I didn't want to re-drill any more holes, but I can't have anything really stopping me from getting the bottom on there. So now I found this sitting in one of my toolboxes that I've had for like, I don't know, 8 years. So I'm glad that this block off is in there. So I'm gonna put some thread locker on there and then seal it up and we should be set. All right, we got it reattached. So we can go ahead and just slap the AN lines back on and then we're done with this portion of it and we can fire it up. Then we can get to tuning. All right, so this is the throttle cable for the time being. And then this is a block off for another section. Pretty much just made these real quick or cleaned up the edges a little bit more on these just to make them smooth, make them round. That's about it. So we're basically gonna prime them up and then paint them black, satin black, so that way they kind of match the rest of it. So we're just gonna do this real quick, give it a couple coats and then change where I decided I was gonna paint them just to give myself some more room, cover up the car a little bit. So no overspray hits it and then we can hit everything all at once. So let's do that. Got it primed up for both. So now we can hit it with our satin black like we used before. All right, so I went to the store. I ended up, even though I painted all this, so I went to the store, got some steel, pretty much same gauge. It's just stronger because it's steel. So, but yeah, pretty much got the piece bent, ready to go. I just need to drill the holes. I'm just waiting for my battery to charge for my drill because that thing is dying. And then I ended up cutting, this is the throttle cable wire. I cut it into just the one connection. So I'll drill one hole, just like this one here, and then it'll just sit there flat and we'll just have one. So that way it'll be a little bit cleaner. There's more than enough structure to hold that little cable, so I'm not too concerned about that, but yeah, kind of just went wild there for a second. So, and the last thing I have to show are these little footstep covers. Essentially that will go right here and right over the top of the other one. I guess I can get rid of the other one if I wanted to, but I kind of like it just being over the top of it. But yeah, shine up, looks similar to the other one. I think it'll just kind of tie it all together. Final piece. All right, and last but not least, we're gonna go ahead and replace, since we already have it, the LRB. It's like the kick panel, essentially. So this is where your foot's rest inside the car, and I'm a 6-foot guy, so kind of tall. Barely fitting in a Miata wise, so I'm going to replace that with just this, and that should get rid of all this extra and give me more footprint. So go ahead and get that. It comes with all the hardware I need. Just take out the old foot pedal with the 210s and then put this new one in at the bottom. That should be it. So with the new foot pedal all the way back there, the only thing I don't like about it, and I'll put this back down, is just that these studs stick out, essentially. So I made one day drill those out, tap them, and then that way it's a flat panel. Use some, it'd be pretty cool just to have it that way. But overall, yeah, it's good. More room. You probably won't really feel it with your foot anyway. Oh wow, a lot of room. That'll be nice to stretch your leg while you're driving. Holy crap. All right, cool. So last but not least, I ended up getting some different hardware just to clean up kind of the edges on some of these things because they're all mismatched. Some of them have been painted over, but I figured it'd be easier to just match them all instead. So I'd pick these up on Amazon. I think they're like 20 bucks, something like that. But yeah, throw these on, clean it up a bit, be done. Man, that looks a whole lot better than having different colors on there in the first place. It kind of matches with the exterior a little bit more. But yeah, honestly, we could use these on the exterior too if we wanted to, but I don't think we'll go that far. All right, so got everything painted officially, putting it back in there. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with this now that I've scuffed it completely up, but otherwise, yeah. So now we're just tightening everything down so we can put the throttle cable back on, and then that will conclude the rest of this. So let's start it up one more time. All right, so got everything mounted up. This is nice and tight. That way, as soon as I touch it, lose the throttle. So now we can fire it up. And that's going to conclude this week's episode. I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace.